there, it's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Tuesday Brewsday. I thought I'd go back to a classic and see how well this deck still performs. I haven't played it for a couple months here on MTG Arena. I think it's very well positioned in the current meta with some of the decks turning over to more controller mid-range type routes, and we're seeing less of the extremely aggressive like mono red or mono whites with this deck can struggle against. This deck just preys on mid-range and is very good versus control as well because of the way we've built this with the Storm Heralds. You have always that out of coming back out of nowhere and just winning the game. So one of the best matchups is Yorion, and Yorion is the most played deck currently in best of one. So it's good to play again. So I just went on a big streak of this, I believe like 11-1 streak or 11-2 streak. Let's pull up the arena assistant here. And yep, it looks like the past games that we've been playing here, so since a week ago, we started playing it again. 1-2, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9-2. So 9-2 run here with the Champions R deck. And you can see it's kind of spread out all over the place. It's doing good against these Winota decks. It's still doing great against these more control variants like the Yorion variants and whatnot. So I am going to give it a run here on the channel to see how well it performs, as currently has a 62% win percentage for best of one. I'm going to start transitioning over to best of three. Again, I just need to find some time to refocus on Magic Gathering. Got a lot going on at the store. Really got into Flesh and Blood, and it's just there hasn't been as much time to dedicate towards Magic the Gathering. But I still like to brew. I still am looking forward to upcoming sets, and unfortunately, this deck didn't get any upgrades with Strixhaven. So this is basically the exact same list that we were running before. Let's just go down the deck tech. The Jingotha is not necessary. If you want to run like any sort of doubles in here, feel free. The only reason why I have Jingotha in the sideboard is there's no point not to. So the main focal point of this deck, the main combo, is going to be the Runeforge Champion, which is this guy here. He reduces the runes by 1, or allows you to pay 1 for runes rather than casting this. But rather than casting their mana cost. And then the Transcendent Envoy allows our spells to cost 1 less. So this combo allows them to cast for 0, and then you can effectively go through a lot of cards once the combo hit is sustained. The finisher in the deck is going to be All That Glitters. You're trying to attach a bunch of runes on one card, then All That Glitters. The Transcendent Envoy is going to reduce the cost of it too, so it's going to be able to cast a bunch of things in one turn and then just pay 1 white mana for All That Glitters. And the other big finisher in this deck is going to be the Citizen Champion. Typically, you want to hook it up with the Rune of Might as you give it Trample. And we have a lot of ways to beat the aggro decks with life gain from the Rune of Sustenance. We have a lot of ways to beat control with the Rune of Speeds coming on creatures. And oftentimes you can like assemble the combo. They're tapped out, so typically they can tap out even for like an Emergent Ultimatum and get some weaker cards. Possibly they go for a quick kill, or they just control one of your cards, and then you can cast maybe your second Runeforge Champion, for example, and have still the Transcendent Envoy out, and then you can proceed to then pile on a ton of enchantments onto one card and then give it haste and swing in for lethal. That happens quite a bit. There are some other cool little combos in here. There's Burgi, God of Storytelling. I've run up to 2 of these rather than the full package of Sionas that I've had before, because Burgi actually acts like another Runeforge combo. So it adds a red every time you cast a spell. This has them be 1 mana, so then you can kind of go through your cards that way. I've even been able to pump it up enough to be able to put the Storm Herald back into play and get everything back that way. And I think it's pretty able to get up to the Jingotha, the Wellspring too, just putting a ton of mana into Jingotha at that point and casting Jingotha off of Burgi. There isn't a lot of other ways to utilize the red mana, so that's kind of the best way. What I run too is the flip side of this card is actually not bad either. This is the Harnfil Horn of Bounty, which says you can discard a card to exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you can play those. Oftentimes you start to flood out, and you've already have a Burgi, you've added a ton of mana. You can cast the second one, start discarding cards. There's no way you miss at that point. You're going to draw your entire deck out. You're going to draw all your runes and easily be able to swing in for lethal. Other the flex cards in this particular deck, like the Siona is pretty good because it can dig you for that All That Glitters. The Alisade of Life's Bounty is just pretty good because it gives protection, and it also sets up pretty well a Citizen Champion. And actually one of the better draws versus mono red is to go the Alisade into an All That Glitters. Typically at that point their Frost Frostburn, whatever. What can't I think of cards today? The one that does damage, 2 damage unless you control 3, then it does 3, is out. It's out of range at the moment. So in Bone Crusher Giant 2, so you can get the Alisade hooked up to an All Glitters, and they actually can't kill it immediately. They need their burn spell to get up to 3, and then if you just get another enchantment, you get up to 4/4, and you can actually race them at that point. Sentinelize is the other good flex because it gives you an escape outlet to then get at least something back from your graveyard, and it's pretty good to hook up to a Citizen Champion or something else. So that's kind of the list that I've run with. The lands are going to be the 2 of Fabled Passage, the 4 of Temple of Plenty. It's not too terrible on turn 1 to have a tap land, and then just pathways galore here, and then enough targets for your Fabled Passage. So Storm Herald is the other neat card in this one because it's going to return all auras from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to creatures. A lot of the exiling in this format actually just exiles the creatures, so then you can, all the auras will go to the graveyard, and then you can actually get a Storm Herald out. It'll throw back all the glitters, all your other runes back, and it'll oftentimes be lethal. Won a lot of games with Storm Herald coming back from, say, Rogues, for example. That's a pretty funny matchup with the Storm Herald. You can run this in a best of 3. The list that I found is Destiny Spinners are pretty good for the countering of Rogues. It's also not bad to then animate a land. It can have a lot of pressure there. I like Warbriar's Blessings versus some like the mono white versions. That gives you a way to fight something, and it actually will draw you a card off Citizen Champion. The Radine, God of the Worthies, just good against anything that runs snow. It's also not that bad of a card to hook up with enchantments. And then we also have the Storm Herald, which is a great card to run a 4 of. When it's good, it's really good. And some of the other key cards like Clotho's God of Destiny is good versus control, and Garruk's Harbingers are very good versus any black-based control deck. So this is going to actually allow you to dig for your combo. It is very good to hook up on something like a Rune of Might or something, because then you have Trample and they can really dig for it. And that is where this list has ended up. I don't know if the Harbingers are the best thing. You used to have Gilded Goose in this deck because it wasn't a bad card to add a food token for all the glitters, plus maybe hook it up with all the glitters and start hooking up runes on it. And it's a flyer, it's evasive, but decided to go against that with a Gilded Goose. It just was pretty much just died to everything immediately and didn't get a lot of value. Yeah, so anyway, I think that is all she wrote for this deck. I've explained it before. Again, it's got a pretty good win percentage. Hopefully we can keep that going now that I'm recording and not get the curse of the recording. So I'm going to play a few games here. I have a Flesh and Blood tournament starting in a few hours, a little bit under ooh, wow, yeah. I have like 50 minutes to play, so maybe we'll just play a few games here, and then gotta get prepared for that. So again, I want to keep the brewing up. I haven't lost my brewing spirit completely. I know this is Rogue Deck Builder, and there's been very few brews on this channel, but I try to play them from time to time when I get the opportunity. All right, so let's go ahead and do a standard ranked with the champions auras and see if we can get a good matchup. Our favorite matchup is mono green. I guess I didn't bring up the matchups here, but the better matchups here, mono green, a 4-0 finish. All the teamers, pretty good against teamers, pretty good against, I don't know what variants of rogues this is, like non-Lurus rogues, probably, 3-0. These are usually the Prismari decks. This is usually Winota that runs this because they do run like learn spells and stuff that gets that black in there. And I'm not sure what this one exactly is, what version of decks, but this is going to be all the Yorion variants right here. It looks like mono red is our worst matchup at 40%, and I'm not sure what some of these other decks down here are. I wish that the Arena Assistant could actually get better at figuring out what decks are what and start giving names to them. But anyway, let's go ahead and keep this one. And we have 2 Transcend Envoys. It's not terrible. All the glitters, you always want to see that. We are going to see either a Winota or a mono white, and we have a pretty good action plan against that. We have the Envoy that can actually start racing it. Okay, it's just going to be dogs. Maybe it's just like a casual deck. Could be Winota dogs. That's always a cute deck. But typically these aggro-based decks are pretty easy, especially with this rune. We actually have the combo now with the Transcend Envoy. So they need like a selfless, or not selfless spirit. They need a apparition to come down to kill this Envoy. And then it actually doesn't get him out of the clear because we do have the Rune Forge Champion. I'm probably going to hook up the Rune of Might and the Rune of Sustenance on it to the Envoy. Yeah, my opponent's just going to go for a dog attack. And I don't think they're going to be able to race me here because we're going to start getting in for some lifelink. But dogs are kind of fun when you have the good draw, and this is definitely the god draw for dogs. But we kind of have our god draw here, so this can be a red source, this can be another white source. Might as well go with another white source here. Go for the Rune Forge Champion. Rune Forge Champion is going to come out, and I think I'm just going to get another Rune of Might just to give me some more. Yeah, because I don't need to. So search my library. We want a Rune of Might. We want to hook up this Transcendent Envoy. as much as possible, get back some lifelink so we're not in jeopardy of getting lethal here. And then we have an All That Glitters the next turn. That's going to be a good card too that is going to help us come back. So I'm just going to continue to put it on the Transcendent Envoy to go up for 3. Could have put it on the Runeforge Champion. I wouldn't fault anyone for doing that. Rune of Speed now. Same thing. Just going to be on the Envoy. I'm going to try to get as much life as possible. So we're drawing pretty good here. Everything's been drawing a card. That's a good land to have an excess one. I guess we don't need it. So this will gain us 4 life, put us back to 13. What does the Bolt do? It gives it all. And well, let's get in here for 4. So I will be blocking with the Runeforge Champion. Does it give an Indestruct when they... Okay, so I just have to worry about anything over 13. So maybe an Ember Cleave could be lethal. Okay, it can't because now it doesn't have double red. So I don't believe this is going to be anywhere close to 13, so we'll just take 9. So I could lose here to some sort of pump spell. Okay, we're down to a 4. Yeah, I'm pretty decent here. I don't know what opponent would be putting down. A Packmaster. Packmaster goes and gets a Alpine Watchdog, so that isn't too threatening, of course, because we're going to be hooking up a lot of stuff to another pack leader down here. Don't know why my opponent didn't play that first, because that would have put me in a lot more jeopardy. So I'm going to thin out here. We don't need another red source, so it's just going to be another white source. And actually, we don't have any draw cards. This could get a little bit... Oh, I guess I have to get a red source here because we're out of basics. So once again, we're going to go for a Runeforge Champion. And I think I'm still just going to get a... Man, do I actually need to throw something back and get like a... No, I think it's just still a Rune of Might. As this can continue to go on the Envoy. Hopefully I don't miss here. Hopefully I can start hitting some more cards. This puts up to 5/5. Yeah, I should be able to block, and then the Envoy will hit next turn. And then All That Glitters. And attack in 412 lifelink. And now let's block. And I should be in great shape. Block the biggest ones possible. So no haste there. No haste there. And just, there's one unknown card. So gotta block here, and call it good. Dang, down to 4 though. My opponent had a great draw with everything. And even if they kill the Transcendent Envoy, we still win with the Storm Herald. So there it goes. Again, not a really serious deck though, but man, dogs can actually work if you get the right cards. I've built some dog decks in the past. Usually I try to put like Realm Walker in there and go Naya, as it allows you to have some more range with it. But let's go on to the next one. But you see though, you see how it works well versus any sort of aggressive base deck. We don't have to worry about removing their key pieces. We can just continue to go over the top of them. I've seen dogs actually splash Winota as well. This one is actually okay because we can, at Temple of Plenty, we have all of our sources. We actually have a good little hand starting, but yeah, we don't want to see mono red. I'm actually going to go with the Temple of Plenty. I typically, what I said is I like to go like Alisade into All That Glitters, but that was impossible because of the tap land. So either way would have been a tap land. Oh, that sucks. That really sucks. It gets my planes. That was a bad... I guess we didn't need it. I did want that 4th land just so the Fabled Passage would come to play untapped. So here, it's just going to be... Yeah, at this point, it's an Alisade. And we need to get below that Robber the Rich before it starts getting all of our cards. And another Robber. Yuck, because my cards are actually pretty good. And gets an Alisade. So hopefully if my opponent actually spends the mana to cast a Alisade, because I want to get All That Glitters here, but no, I'm just dead. These robbers are just going to be so impossible to deal with. And unfortunately, yeah, that's going to... We're going to have to go get a mountain. And I have to go All That Glitters, and I think I just want value out of this, though. Because it's probably going to die to the Frost. Yeah. Yeah, mono red can be tough. You saw that was our worst matchup. And just double robbers without removal is just brutal. And opponent actually is going to get my... They're going to Ember Cleave me here. I'm actually okay with an Ember Cleave because it takes all of their mana. Okay. So I wonder if going to go Citizen Champion here. Unfortunately, I'm still in like this weird position if I get like a mana next turn. Unfortunately, my opponent's like, yeah, I got rid of 2 of them. Should kill the Alisade, because Alisade's how I get back in this. So, like a Frostbite to kill. That really, really sucks. So, I want to get the Runeforge out. Unfortunately, it's not going to do much here. Like, I can't... I'm going to attack in with the Alisade first, and then see. Like, I definitely need to get this guy out, this Runeforge out. The Rune of Sustenance isn't gonna do much. It could draw him into their land and put it up to a 4/4. Already has lifelink though. I think we're just gonna go for the Runeforge, and it thins out our deck a little bit. It gives us a blocker too. Opponent didn't have a, so definitely the Rune of Might. Yeah, this is just rough. I don't know. I think I need the life because I just decided to do an Ember Cleave or a Frost. Yeah, I'm gonna get the life in here. And it sort of threatens lethal next turn. Oh, Rimrock. Okay, that kind of sucks. Rimrock on the... Alright, now I have to worry about Ember Cleaves. Goldspan Dragon. I still have to worry about Ember Cleaves. Yeah, this is ridiculous with Ember Cleaves. So I'm probably getting Cleave down here. But opponent does have the God Draw. We'll block one of them and see if there's an Ember Cleave. And, yep, it is what it is. That's what I hate about Best of 1. It's so ridiculous that Mono Red gets Ember Cleave every game with the way that the shuffle bug works. That's why I suggest you play Best of 3s, because it does actually shuffle. And you're not dealing with what I mean by the shuffle bug is it's been confirmed that what they do is it tries to curve you. It tries to give you a nice curve, a nice spread of lands and high converted mana cost. So it wants you to have like 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. So it tries to find the most efficient way to spend mana, and then always slots in Ember Cleave. Every game has Ember Cleave. It's up to 95% of games have Ember Cleaves in there. And it also protects you against kind of the double ones with it too. It actually makes a lot of like when your curve is starting to clump around the 4s. Those type of decks are so unplayable. You can actually compare Best of 1 with Best of 3 and notice that there's like no Prismari and there's not a lot of like adventures. And the reasoning being is the curves are not nearly as good or ideal, and so it weighs these Best of 1 decks that have these extreme curves because it slots in the perfect ones. But anyway, I'm just a conspiracy theorist when I start spouting these type of stuff. But test it. Test how many times you get Ember Cleave. It's always there. Always in the opening hand. And excuse the data like crazy. So, anyway, let's go on to the next one. I think if we would have drawn a land there, we might have been okay. Because we would have had the... Alright, so we're going against Rogues. And we have the Storm Herald in hand. So, unfortunately, like... that can get milled, don't care. Evolving Wilds, too, so really going on the... Cool, no lands here. Hopefully it gets a bunch of auras in the bin. We need a red... Oh, that sucks. We need a red source to come out as soon as possible. That kind of sucks. We're going to put that to the bottom because we want all the lands possible. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but... unfortunately, we might be in a world of hurt here because we don't have a third land. And if it's going to... No, okay. Unfortunately, I don't want to Fabled Passage now. Do you need to hit a land here? I think instead we'll just like Rune of Might on... don't really want a Rune of Might on anything. Alright, that gets milled too. But no lands. We have to go Rune of Might, and unfortunately I need a card, so it's just going to go on the Alisade. Which sucks, because it can't go into my bin either. And it's just going to Did It St. Please It. I mean, it's a terrible use of the card, but it mills 3 lands, so It actually works. Yeah, that was an awful use of the card. My opponent didn't know that I missed the land drop there. They just didn't say please on an RO that would just basically draw cards. They countered an opt. They countered a, not even opt, worse than an opt. They countered a cycling. But unfortunately, I think we're already pretty far behind here with too many lands in the graveyard. Too many red sources. There we go. Not a red source though. It's a white source. We can go a couple routes here. I'm just going to go Citizen Champion. It's probably my best bang for my buck. Most likely will get countered again. And we'll get in here for one again. I mean, we're not in the worst shape. We draw a red source and we just win, I believe, at this point. We do need a... Yeah, we have an all that glitters. Really? We only have an all that glitters and 2 runes? In the bin? That's pretty terrible. And one of the ones we tried to cast. Alright, we're getting milled again. That was pretty bad. Oh, so we'll go another champion. See if we can draw a land anytime this century. Would be nice. Our opponent also is not drawing lands, which another didn't say please. Really on the mill route here. And unfortunately, it mills all of our lands. So there's another red source. How many red sources do I have left? 1, 2, 3. We have some crags still left. But what? So ridiculous. Yeah, really on the counter route here. Another Ruin Crab. So if my opponent does tap out, though... Come on, red source. One time. Oh, yeah, red source in the bin. And no red source. See if this one gets countered. This is actually a strong card if it hits. They still have their Death Touch Rogues, unless this is like really high on the mill, which it might be. I mean, we're seeing a full package of Didn't Say Please. Some of them do run those. So Drown in the Lock. Okay, well, we'll get in there again. Good news, too, is our opponent has not drawn lands either. So, but they have still drawn just pure gas. They scryed pretty far, too. But, I mean, I am really low on red sources. One more Needle Verge, and that's probably going to be game with the Fabled Passage. There's another red source. There's another red source. And there's another red source. I actually don't think I have a Fabled Passage target, so that's fine. Only one dwarf? There's another. Okay. I think we have 2 more red sources left in the game. In our 16. Sorry, so this is rogue. So one more card left in my opponent's deck. And I'm out of rune forges now. Oh, that sucks. Okay, so we're gonna go Rune of Might. Let's see what that last card in hand is. We draw a card. Be a red source. We just get... There we go. All the glitter. So my opponent taps out next turn. I think we win. Does have a draw with Merfolk Windkeeper. Okay. Well, this Storm Herald could get us there. The problem is at 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 mill. So just any other card that mills just wins the game. And that'll do it. Womp womp. That actually mills me. So, yep, too much. Too much mill. We would have had it next turn with the Storm Herald. But that is what it is. Can't stand it when the Ruin Crabs hit those perfect sequences of mill land, draw no land. Mill land, draw no land. So the 2 tier decks we fall to. See if this next one... Rogues is a pretty even matchup, though. It all hinges on that Storm Herald, and we had it in our opening hand. Just could not get that red source. We do have a red source in the hand here. We actually have the combo. Here, this seems like a pretty good hand. And a Faceless Haven. We have all the glitters, double all the glitters. It's pretty bad. Acquisition Expert, we'll get rid of all the glitters. There is a green source. We'll just go ahead and flip that over to green. And then we have a Transcendent Envoy. So not sure exactly what the flavor of this one is, if it's going to be higher on removal. I think it is with another Acquisition Expert. So again, all the glitters is the weakest card here because we can get it back. And there we go with the combo. Runeforge Champion comes down. We have 2 cards that we can throw it on. Search our library. We actually do want a Rune of Speed. And we're going to throw everything on the Runeforge Champion. Rune of Sustenance. And hopefully we can find that Storm Herald. There it is. Storm Herald is going to be really good here. We can do another... Yeah, I think on the Envoy it's fine. I probably should put that on this Runeforge. Crippling Fear. Yeah, now I'm really wishing I would have put it there. But now Storm Herald actually... Storm Herald's lethal. Storm Herald's lethal here. Storm Herald's way lethal. Yep, this is lethal. So that actually ended up working out pretty well. Actually not way lethal, is it? It's exactos. I was thinking like double, all the glitters would have been way enough. So there you have it. That's kind of the shenanigans that this deck can do. And let's go ahead and see if we can get another one of those combos off. This is a decent hand. It's slow, but we have double Runeforge, and you can't really cry too much about having double Runeforge. It gives you some padding. Mono White is not one we want to see, or Winota, because this is super slow. Didn't want to see a Temple there either. A Rune of Speed is fine at this point to keep, because we'll draw it and then Runeforge. I might go Citizen Champion, actually. No, let's see. Yeah, Citizen's probably the better one to go. This is going to be Winota. So actually, Runeforge is probably better. Because if it gets killed, then we still have another Runeforge the next turn. And then that's going to be more. So I think I want a Sustenance here. So Bone Crusher Giant to the face is probably what's going to end up happening. My opponent didn't have a better play than that. And then maybe an Apparition's coming out. And then... yeah, okay. Or maybe just a Bone Crusher Giant's coming down. We have to worry about the Winota draw too. Yep, opponent has the God draw. Sort of. Let's see if they can actually get a Winota next turn. Then they really have the God draw of the 1, 2, 3 curve. We'll play that one out. That's fine. And we're going to go with another champion. And can they kill us here? I think what we want to do... so search my library. I think what we want to do is get a Rune of Speed and just get in there for some damage. And if Winota comes down, Winota comes down. We have to try to win next turn. And damage is going to be key. Because the most, I think, is double strike. We can take 6 next turn. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's just nice to be, have it every game. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yep. Is that lethal? 6, 7, 8, and they get Citizen Champion. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think it's perfectly lethal. So opponent hit like absolute nuts. The absolute nuts of the Skyclave Apparition. You know, possibly I should have kept it back instead of attacked in. I don't know. I don't know if there was a way around it. Yeah, that probably would have been better. But then I wouldn't have lost my guy. So, is what it is. I mean, the Winota Jaws are pretty silly when they have it on curve. So, next turn, though, what do we get with next turn? No, next turn with the champion would have been out of reach. So needed either not a Winota or not a Skyclave for that last match, and I think we would have been fine. So they had to have both of them. Rotro. So here, I think I do need to draw a card. Get that all that glitters going. Okay. That's a little bit better because now I can... Oh, I can't cast both how I want to. Runeforge, though. Oh, okay, so this is going to be, yeah, Prismari. So, how do I want to do this? I think it's still going to be Runeforge, since we have a backup. And let's go ahead and get... Let me get a Might here. And if opponent kills the Runeforge... We don't have to worry about a lot of things in here. Brazen Borrowers are a thing. The 3 damage spell's a thing. Expressive Iteration, ugh. Gets the land they need. Okay, and it just auto-passed, so I'm thinking my opponent does not have it. So, I'm going to go ahead and cast the Transcendent Envoy. Unfortunately, we don't have... We'll go ahead and protect that now. That does give us a... Alright, that gives us an all that glitters. Yep, that's fine. I want to get as much damage as possible. Ow, down to 13. And this is also going to probably get the... Like, it's going to be hard to kill this Runeforge now. It's got to be Brazen Borrower. Which does hurt. But we have the other Runeforge. Mazemind Tome's not going to do it. Brazen Borrower will do it, though. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and put a Rune Sustenance there. I was trying to bait out some sort of removal. That's not another card I wanted. Alright, so this is going to be pretty good because it gives me a Rune of Speed. Then go on this guy. Okay. And now we have... I actually have an Alisade now that could come out. Let's do the Alisade first. Because that pumps up the Runeforge here. Perfect, okay. Good. So that got the Brazen Borrower taken care of. And then now, I think I'd rather protect the Transcendent Envoy. Also gives me life gain. And opponent's going to scoop it up. Alrighty, so we have time for one more, I think. Yep, time for one more here. And so far it's been pretty even, but you can see how how explosive this deck is. And yeah, we got to see everything. We got to see some explosive draws with just the enchantments. We also got to see how good the Storm Herald is. Another decent hand. This is against Yorion. Typically, Yorion is going to be tough if we don't get a Storm Herald on time. Burgee is interesting because Burgee can allow for the opposite end of the Harnfil. The Horn of Bounty is pretty good because it can stop us. Like we actually do pretty good keeping up with card advantage. They do have to use like a binding early. We have the Cetizen enchantment. We have Alice that can actually protect it if we want to go this route. So it's not bad. This is not a bad hand whatsoever. And maybe my opponent will decide to keep their hand. You can do it, opponent. You queued up for a game. You can do it. Got all of our sources here. White, green, blue. Can cast them all. Siona's going to be pretty decent. And we are off to the races. So, there we go. That is the perfect card to actually pull, as it now gives us our out. So, I'd like to see next turn like a rune. I'd actually like to see like something like all the glitters. Not all that glitters. In fact, one of the worst draws being an additional Cetizen champion. Yeah, that's tough. That's rough there. No rune, no 2-drop. Opponent's got the Omen to help scry. Still surprised this shenanigan's been allowed to exist in Standard for as long. I think they need to ban one or the other. Yorion or Omen. I mean, Omen seems like just like an innocent card, but with Yorion in the format, it's just extremely powerful. It leads us to all roads lead to Yorion because it's not that rough of a thing to add 4 Omens, and Yorion as your... ooh, that sucks. All right, a Fabled Passage. So I think what we're going to do... How can we do this here? What is the best use of our... I think Siona is the best use. And the Rune of Speed is definitely the best card in this matchup. Oh, I should have failed to find, because that's all my opponent can get is a Rune of Speed. But it does allow for a Storm Herald. Before Elspeth? Yeah, that was kind of rough. I should have just failed to find. Unless I want to go with the Storm Herald next turn. And just get in there for some damage. See what our opponent does. That seems like a really bad use of Storm Herald. We do have the second one, though, that we can draw into. And it does get advantage. Does draw us a card. Does do 4 damage. Does put out a 1/1. Not quite sure what card is being foretold there. Which ones they do use. And it looks like my opponent is eyeing that Siona. Yeah, this is rough. Too much of one thing, not enough of the combo pieces. Go ahead and thin out a little bit. I'm actually going to go for it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with a Storm Herald right now. I don't have any other cards or prospects coming up. Opponent looks like they have a Heartless Act. Hope they use it right now. Because then that... Who am I attaching Rune of Speed to? Okay, there was no Heartless Act. Oh, I guess you can't respond to it after that. Once it actually hits, it hits, and then... Okay, so at least we still get the 1/1. And we get to draw a card. I'm actually going to keep that in my hand, and here's the reason. I want to draw a card off of it. And now the Elspeth Nightmare doesn't do too much. We still do still have to erase that Emergent Ultimatum. But I think that drawing that card was pretty pivotal, because we would have had to draw that the next turn. There's Cultivate, too. So opponents probably will still have another removal spell and have Emergent Ultimatum coming up. That's probably a take extra turn. Double green. Yep, double green. They do have the black. They can actually still even play one of the greens. And not a bad card to draw. Put on white because we have a green coming up. And we can go Citizen Champion. See if the Citizen Champion dies here to another Heartless Act. They have it all. But at least we're getting in there for 4. Now let's just hope there's just not an Emergent Ultimatum. But again, that Shuffle Bug just really, really puts the ultimatums in Yorion. We've only scryed 2 here. I guess they get a draw. Okay, draw an extra card without the Epiphany. Alrighty. Such a fair card. But did miss a land drop, so it did end up being just an Explore. Another Cultivate. Fortunately, we just have a Citizen Champion in our hand. And no auras to be seen. Hopefully we won't draw a land next turn. Three cards in my opponent's hand. Well, we're just going to get in there. See how my opponent blocks. That is fine. Get in there for 1. Get rid of those. So I think I actually do want to play a land here just in case they have the counter unless they pay 1. And this can help get me back in the game. Alright, they have Mystical Dispute anyway. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. So this can go Yorion and flicker Yorion in, huh? Which sucks. Which, I mean, at least they don't have an Emergent Ultimatum. But they're going to get another card off of the Omen. Which, again, is a 2-card deficit. I guess we have a Companion in this one, but the Companion in this one's just not nearly as strong. Pulchronos, Pulchronos, I was going to say, isn't that big of a deal, but it is a huge deal when we just get flooded. So I'm not even going to throw it out because, I mean, Citizen Champion has to hit. It has to hit with some auras. We have drawn 0 runes in 17 cards, 0 other auras. The Omen's going to get another big hit off of now Yorion coming down. We will block. As it's still a good use of our... But Yorion's going to flicker Pulchronos, possibly? Yeah, it's worth the 6 damage, though. Gets to scry 2 and draw a card. Again, this combo should not be allowed to happen in Standard. It's plagued it for so long. The Omen and the Yorion. It just makes every deck lead to Yorion. Everything. So Emergency Ultimatum that people started running not the Yorion here, and then they just figured out, well, Omen's just stronger. Just Omen and Yorion were in the colors. It's just stronger than not running it. And I'm so surprised that Wizards continued with 20% plus meta being consistent, have allowed Yorion to stick around. It doesn't make the meta better. It doesn't make it more interesting or fun. It just makes certain decks that can run Yorion have a massive advantage over ones that cannot. We have double red, double green. Here we can go. This is actually pretty good. We can go champion. We could actually be able to go crazy here. Womp womp. That's a big womp. That was a huge womp. I mean, still the Transcendent. I mean, we have the Storm Herald, but nothing. Only 2 runes. The rest of our deck is basically runes. Binding the Old God's going to kill the Citizen Champion. And then Plukernos actually is still online. No Emergency Ultimatum, though, so we've gotten lucky with that aspect. We're definitely going to make the block with the Storm Herald here. Or yeah. Yep. Because it dumbs down the Plukernos. It allows us to do some more shenanigans. Like, opponent should fight the Runeforged Champion now. And then that allows us, that allows us now to have Transcendent Envoy. Storm Herald's doing absolutely nothing. Oh, is that lethal? Even close lethal? Nope, we only have 1 card. So... I think this is like the only thing I can go. Binding the Old Gods gets Death Touch next turn. They get to decide who they kill. A Heartless Act. Alright. So, still in decent shape if I can draw. If I can draw some runes. I mean, we have plenty of mana. Plenty of mana. That's not threatening. I guess Death Touch isn't this turn. No blocks here, because I don't want Plukernos coming back. Guess that works. Oh, another Plukernos. Guess that works too. And that's not going to do it. Not going to do it. Can we like last one more turn? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. So the lack of runes. Thing is, Plukernos can fight anything down too. And that actually is not quite lethal. But my opponent's got a fight card. Or Plukernos can fight. So, Storm Herald with all that glitters galore. Alrighty. Triple all that glitters coming up there late in the game. So, womp womp. I think that's all she wrote there. That was a pretty rough one for us. Opponent had the right removal, had the right counter spells at the right time, and we did not. We had flood. Didn't see a rune to save our life there. So, yeah, that wasn't the best showing of it. Now that really put a damper on the win percentage of that deck. Now we're down to 59% win percentage. But all in all, it's still a fun deck. You can win games out of anywhere. It'd be interesting to play in best of 3 to see how it actually works out. But we'll be trying some brews with the spoilers once it comes out with the new set with Forgotten Realms. I'll try to do a top 10 list with it, and I'll try to be on top of it with actually showcasing some decks here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.